Chips. Well, why hello everyone. Here's Bogdan from Sheep Studios. We're back today with the third part of our Halloween series. And in this one, we'll be wrapping up our house by designing the chicken legs and doing some small adjustments. This one would be shorter than the first two, so let's wrap it up. Alright, so back into the workshop. First of all, I want to parent those two so that we can keep them together and move them around if we want to. And today we'll be focusing on working on the chicken legs and attaching them to the house. We won't be doing the rigging right now. We'll be doing that in a later tutorial part. So let me show you what I use for preview. This is a matte cap that I love. It looks like a brick texture. It really shows well the shadows in the objects. But for now, I'll just save and let's get on with the legs. Oh, so this is the shape. And oh, let me just take a look. It looks like I didn't actually place into the house composition all the elements and I didn't give them a name too. So let me just magically rename them really fast. Alright, so now all of them have been renamed, and as you can probably see, we don't have the elements that are working with the door composition into the right collection. And that's a problem because the parenting didn't work properly. So we want to take all of those and put them in the first collection. But first, let me just rename this one to stairs 3. And we have to take all of those and put them into the house collection. Okay. Now, if you want, you can parent the door to the house, but I actually won't be doing this right now. We can leave them as separate. That won't be an issue. So let us get back to the main task at hand, which is the chicken legs. Let's save again, and front view, let's create another cube inside the house collection. We want to drag it here, and let's actually give the matte cap a break right now. We don't need it. Let's go to wireframe, and let's rename it first chicken leg. Well, that's not how you're supposed to write chicken. All right, chicken leg 1. I know I'm so original sometimes. So let's make it smaller and take it up. We'll start from the top and go through the bottom. So let's get our vertices first. I'll take this one here, and this will be the first segment. Now we want to select those two and extrude them. And I'll actually use my super awesome powers again because, like I said, nobody wants to see me extrude stuff and move them around, but I'll just leave them here. If you need anything, you can just ask into the comments and I'll be answering you as soon as possible. So yeah, in a couple of seconds. I just want to make a short pit stop here from my race, and I want to tell you that at this point I want to separate the chicken feet so that you have one claw into the back and 3 into the front, and I'll just use this part for the back claw. I did it separately, and then I'll use the middle one for all the other 3 claws. As you can see, so this one is the first claw, and I'm slowly building it up. And I actually think that by mistake I made this claw have more segments than the other two, but that shouldn't be an issue. The animation won't be really focused on those that much. Okay, we take this segment for the second one, and you also don't have to take into account right now, but don't forget that we are into 3D and right now we are modeling just into one perspective. So after we are done with the main model for the 3 claws, we have to change perspective and then look at them into the other angles. And here is the third claw. As you can see, I used the same base for the three front claws. That proved to be an issue a bit later, but you'll see that when we get to it. Now, as you can see, I already need to go a bit into perspective so that I can move the vertices along, because right now they are overlapping quite a bit. So I need to change a bit my perspective each time I do a new segment for the farthest claw. And I just want to adjust those a bit before I change the perspective altogether. So as you can see, they're pretty grouped up right now, and I slowly pull them out one by one. So this one would be like the left finger. I know, chicken don't have really fingers, but you get it. And even though I did say that this would be more like chicken legs, I wanted to change the shape to something like maybe a chicken spider or something. I want to make it as scary as possible, because you can go into low polygon, I guess. So this is the first claw. And as you can see, if you actually look at the base of the claw, you can see that some faces are really in common with the other claws. But the back one is really easy to work with since it's completely separate and it's already in the right position. So we take this one here, and we're working through the back one. I go back to the middle one and I change the size for that. But you'll probably already recognize that the last claw is not yet completed, since I couldn't make the small segments, and the model is actually partially on my reference photo. So we'll get to that into a second. So now, if I try to complete it right here, it will overlap, right? I actually did the mistake by doubling my faces here. Okay. And right now we have the third claw also. Now let's select the segments that we can and make this one maybe a bit smaller than the other ones. Okay. Just make sure to clean up every once in a while, because you never know when you might have double vertices. Let's pull the last one out and put it a bit more down than the others. And as you can see, we have our claw. Let me just adjust those a bit more. There's really a lot of nitpicking to do when you work with models of this size and when you do them all by yourself. I actually do recommend to use models from other designers if you can find them for free or paid if you have a budget for that. But I prefer to do them by myself, so that more like a refreshing or learning experience for me every once in a while. But if you do have to work on a big project, just don't. Just find them whenever. Okay, so this is the first claw. And right now we want to rotate it a bit. And you'll never guess how we do the second claw. Let me just rename that to leg right. Then I want to move that into position and duplicate it. Yeah. We're doing so many things different, right? And this one would be chicken leg left. We want to rotate that a bit into the outside, and the other leg too. And they are kind of a bit too big for our house, so we'll probably have to resize those. Let's do it like that. And we want to select the both of them, make them smaller, and drag them up to see how they fit. Maybe stretch them a bit. All right. And put them under the house. They're maybe too stretched, so I don't want to stretch my models. I don't really like that look, so let's keep them at the normal size and stretch them just a tiny bit. Make them a bit smaller and basically just make them fit your map, because the claws in themselves are not going to be connected to the geometry of the house. So you can just keep them as separate and then parent them, and they will do just fine for what you need them for. Now we can nitpick a bit about the details since we don't want the upper part of the chicken leg to get out. So drag that up a bit. That's about right. And the other one also, let's drag that up a bit. And as you can see, they do fit under the house after all. Okay, one feet would be higher than the other. Well, that shouldn't be a problem. That's not how fit works, I guess, but okay, some final touches, and that's about it. That's how our chicken legs look like. And now we have a walking house. Well, we can't really put those legs up to walking right now because they don't work, but we'll do that later. So let's take a closer look. This is how our composition looks like right now. Let's save again. And if you want, you can select those, the door, and parent them to the house. And for now, let's keep them as an object. But we have to do that separately. All right, so now we have our complete house. Let's save again. This is how it looks from the outside. If you want, you can try again with the matte cap. All right, so this is the final result. We finally attached the chicken legs to our house, and on the next tutorial that will be coming out tomorrow, we'll be starting work on the wizard. So yeah, there. Bye.